How's it going, YouTube? Comics today with another video, and today, guys, what I want to bring to you is the forever-changing meta. Now, the meta is really defined by the ban list, by a new set dropping, by somebody making a killer list and it does really well, and then all of a sudden everyone starts playing a list or something similar with similar text. These are all different things that can really affect the game and have a very heavy impact. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, and that's because the ban list is coming up, and I feel like this one is going to be more brutal than usual. So this is where we really have to know and be knowledgeable as to how we can adjust to a meta, what exactly means that the meta is defined, how do we get to the defined meta, and what we really have to look out for and prepare for when it comes to dealing with or predicting a new meta. So I hope that you enjoy that today, because this is going to be all my thought process when it comes into just kind of facing a new format and what I exactly think and expect to happen. So the other thing today is that we're going to be opening up the secret shiny box. That was a ton of fun to open, and I really do hope that we can get more boxes on the channel later on. It will just be in addition to what I'm already doing. It wouldn't just be like a box opening, because I would rather just like make the video that I already want to do and just kind of tack that on. But opening up the secret shiny box was definitely amazing. I've never opened up anything from Japan before, any of like the OCG cards, so it was really different, and the secret shiny box alone was an amazing product. So I hope that you guys see that. This is not a sponsored video. This is just something that I felt really highly of. So I hope that you enjoy that at the end of the video. Also, we are 96 subs away. Just 96. You have the power to turn that button from red to gray. I know we can do it. I know we can hit 8K. When we do hit 8K, we're going to be giving away this lovely striker core. The core itself has went up quite a bit, so I'm very glad that I can give it away to somebody who really wants to try out the deck and maybe hasn't even gotten to touch a striker card yet. So I am really excited to do that. We will announce the giveaway details once we hit 8K, and of course we'll be doing like a celebration video alongside that as well, because that's another big milestone. And of course we still really are excited for hitting 10K coming up hopefully soon, to be able to host another giveaway and another big tournament. So without further ado, let's go right on ahead and jump right into our topic here. So the first thing that I want to bring up is how you can adjust for the meta. So this is a list that you guys have seen from me for a while now. This is something that I'm currently undefeated in an online tournament with as well, and it's something that I've played for so long that I can really say that this is one of the most comfortable builds I've ever had. It really mirrors a list that I had back in Eternity when I was doing really well in regionals, and this is something that I feel very strongly about, because when you're trying to figure out what the meta is and what hurts your build or your deck in general, you have to really take down your roots in deck building and figure out how you can adjust your main deck to not just hit those cards, but also find a way to just kind of adjust as to what's going on. Because if you look at my list right now, this is a list that I wanted to bring up because this is semi-old, but still essentially the same list. So you'll see Drolls in my main deck and Nibiru's in my sideboard. The meta changed, and so when it became more Sword Soul heavy, I switched out my Drolls for Nibiru, and it's been fantastic. So no longer do I play Droll in my main deck, I side it and I main deck Nibiru. This is because when I'm playing against decks like Bird, I really feel like playing against Sword Soul is going to happen more often, and it's also going to be a lot more impactful having Nibiru, because that deck, all it really wants to do is just kill your opponent turn 2, right? And that's something that I really don't want to happen, especially for me, that being turn 3. So having something like Nibiru in there and making sure that I can simplify the game state as fast as possible is very ideal. When you're not really playing against too many bird up lists, then you want to be able to sideboard the cards that are really big powerhouses against it and really try to alter your main for the decks that can really OTK you, or the decks that you're afraid of that you'll be seeing more frequently. So this is something where if you look at my list right now, I'm main decking the Nibiru for Sword Soul. I'm going to be main decking further on the Cosmic Cyclones. That hasn't changed. The reason being is that we have a really big problem right now with cards like IO. We have a big problem with cards like Scythe. So if you have the Cosmic Cyclone, you can go ahead and snipe the Scythe right away, and you don't have to worry about it. You can chain it to things like Gozen that are a problem, and there's a lot of back row decks that have really made their way into the meta right now. So main decking some kind of back row out is really nice, especially when it's chainable, because I do have things like Feather Duster and Lightning Storm, but having the chainable ones are always going to be the best. And I really do feel like that's going to stay true even into the PK format. It's really going to depend on if Scythe gets banned. I know a lot of us are thinking it might, but you still have to be on top of that if it does or if it does not. The other thing too is I am main decking the Chalice because the best hand trap right now is Imperm, so having multiple copies of Imperm, especially in a spell form, even though it's not on your opponent's turn, you can still wait with cards like Imperm for your turn and then crack their board because you can trade 1-for-1 with their Omni Negates, and that's why Chalice is so good. The other thing too is cards like Regeki. We have that because there's a lot of decks, especially Sword Soul, that just can't handle Regeki. If you go Regeki, chain Chalice to their Baron, they lose their whole board. This is very, very true moving forward too. We're going to be going against decks like Prank Kids and the Phantom Knight deck in the next format. So this is something where the list will end up changing, because if you remember, even back when Prank Kids was one of the best decks, not even just a format and a half ago, a lot of Striker players stopped main decking Afterburner. And if Prank Kids really end up being a powerhouse deck again, that's something where I could really see Afterburner being cut from the list again. And that's something where you really have to kind of figure out what the meta is doing and where it's going. The other thing too about this list is that I am going second. This is because I do feel like there's so many decks that can just play through your board right now, especially like Bird Up with their extenders, Sword Soul having multiple extenders and multiple lines of play to just clear your board, especially cards like Boxia and Vashuda. Going second allows you to be able to crack their board, which are very fragile. Bird's a lot less fragile. It's really strong when it goes all the way off. But again, you don't really face as many birds as would be relevant to be concerned about. So for me, I just play against a lot of Sword Soul. Their board's very weak. So I think going second is, like, on my opinion, probably one of the safer bets, especially with the fact that I won't just immediately die. The other thing too is that you don't see me playing DPE because I'm going second. I don't really want that in my deck. I want to see as many spells in my hand as possible so I can go ahead and crack boards, because in a deck like Striker, if you see a handful of spells and they don't have IO, most of the time you're cracking that board and setting up your own, because that means you're going to be hitting immediate spell count. The other thing that you see in my list that's a little different than usual is a lot of people only main deck the 1 Area 0. I play 2. That's because I'm main decking the Nibiru, and if you're main decking Nibiru, you need more ways to clear it. And so if you don't have multiple Area 0, you don't have your multi-roll handy, it's gonna be really hard if you don't like draw your Ray or your Rose to link it off, because all of a sudden you're gonna be shut out of the game. So if you're playing more Area 0, you have more ways to clear your Nibiru, and you're going to be able to play the game more adequately. So these are things that you have to think about when we're dealing with the meta. I am sideboarding Ash Blossom, and that's because right now against most of the decks that are just the relevant 5, you really have to figure out which hand traps are mediocre. To me, I really think that Ash is very mediocre right now. It doesn't really do a whole lot, and nor is it very impactful. So if you are going second, and then you go into games 2 and 3, and you're playing against like a Flunder deck, or you're playing against something that has Fusion Destiny, these are places where you'd want to put in your Ash, especially against decks like Eldlik to stop things like the Sanguine. So there's a lot of very good implications about that. But this is something that I think about very heavily when it comes to deck building, and when I'm really trying to think about, okay, I'm in a meta right now that isn't the craziest. There's a lot of really good power 1-ofs, but at the same time, if I go second and I can crack the board, what am I really worried about? And the only answers that I've ever come up with so far are things like IO, Anti-Spell. I've seen Protoss be an issue sometimes if they have like a really solid board and they call Dark. It kind of hurts because I can't Zeke away their monster, and not having access to Zeke is really tough in this deck. So that's something too that you can think about. Moving from this to kind of extend the discussion here is, in a new meta, don't be frustrated if you can't figure out what the best deck is. This is a really common thought. And I see a lot of people playing a deck that they thought was the best deck, and all of a sudden it's not, and it's not working out the way that they wanted it to. And they're like, man, why isn't this deck working? Like, it's supposed to be like be all end all. Like, everyone was talking about this before the ban list, and now it's out, and it's not that good. Don't be frustrated about that. It's going to take a while. It usually takes a solid, I would say, 2, maybe 3 weeks before we start really getting a defined meta. And that's only determined by if we even have any tournaments at the time to be ran to test the meta out. So if we don't have any big events like a YCS or like multiple regional feedbacks, you know, this is where we get into a loop where we don't really know what the best deck is, and we're kind of determining the meta and what we have access to. And even the smallest cards in the ban list can really affect this. So this is something that you really have to be on top of, and don't be frustrated if you don't figure out what the best thing is right away. This is why I always say to hold off before you buy a new deck, especially if it's the biggest one people are talking about, because yes, you you can buy it and you can really win big by buying it early. But if you buy it and it ends up not being the best deck, if you remember back even like a couple months ago when people were doing like the small world and they were doing like Terror Top and a Gossip Shadow, that was really cool. And it was a huge buyout and a lot of people did it. And it was like a really cool idea. I think it like won a regional. But at the same time, who talks about it anymore? You know, like there are new things in a meta that will change the meta, and it could be a swift change for like a month and then it's dead. And this is something where the meta is forever changing, hence the title of the video. So just be aware that we still have certain decks that are powerful, but there's always new decks that are just generating every day. So always be on top of testing and innovating, because you could find the next best deck. The next thing here is that you need to test decks out ahead of time and see if they're a good fit for you. This is another thing too, where if you are going to buy a deck ahead of time, make sure that you go on Dueling Book, make sure you go on EDO Pro, test the deck out, make sure that it's a deck that you want to play. Is it feeling really strong to you, or is it feeling kind of average? This is something that you really have to determine, because the list can do whatever it wants to do, right? Like, that's the biggest thing that we have to think about right now is the ban list. And you can predict it all you want, but if you test a deck out and it's very average, and then like the change that happens to it isn't that impactful, it might stay average. And there's other decks that were just better and like they're going to stay better. And we're going to be talking about that moving up too. The new meta is going to be probably the best two decks. Now, noting that the other decks aren't going to just disappear unless it's an actual murder list like January 2020. This is something where we predict that Prank Kids and Phantom Knights are going to be the two best decks with the Brave Engine. So this is something where you have to think about that when you are looking at your main decks. Again, cutting Afterburner and Striker when Prank Kids are going to be one of the best because of cards like Bow Wow. If you want to play around that, you can play Bell in your main. And this is something that we can really theory about as well. Against like the PK deck, if they're banning Scythe, then what does the deck accomplish? Are they still playing Fusion Destiny? Are they playing the Dragoon package? And this is something else where you have to be like, okay, maybe I sideboard Kaijus just in case. So this is just a lot of theorying that goes into this, and kind of realizing what the new meta is, what it's trying to accomplish, and how big the boards can really get. So moving into the next thing here is that the list is very unpredictable. Sometimes you can predict a card or two. Sometimes you can predict even like 3. But when they come out with like a 10 card list, right, with just like 10 different things that got hit, this is something where you have to realize that there's decks out there right now that are not going to get affected by the ban list. And even if they're just average right now, the slightest hit to the best deck can turn one of these decks into one of the best decks of the format, especially if it's already doing well right now and another deck got powered down. A deck like Virtual World, Striker, Dragon. Dragon in a Prank Kid meta is insane because Heretic and the Tidying, as Mike Thomas would say, or as you guys would know him as Trishula, that's FTK. Heretic Seal and Tidying against Prank Kids, that's literally FTK. And then the other matchup that you have to play against would be like Phantom Knight. So that's what I'm saying though. Like if another deck ends up just getting blasted by the ban list, one of these just average decks that are right now people would consider average could end up being one of the best things that we see. And this is something too where you could win big by buying these before the ban list, especially because none of these decks are going to get hit. There's no reason for them to get hit. And this is something where if you get comfortable with them now, when everyone's scrambling to find the best deck of the next format, you could already be comfortable with these decks, and all of a sudden you just start winning a lot more because people are still trying to figure out what the interactions their new deck does. And you're just like, yeah, I know exactly what my cards do, and I'm going to win because of it. And that's something that I always carry in my back pocket with Striker. Striker's been hit multiple times, but I even know going into like the next ban list, like nothing's going to happen to it, right? So this is something where I already know like what my deck does, and I just have to adjust for the new meta, put in a couple new hand traps, and I should be good to go. And this is something where you really get rewarded for learning what other decks do, so you can pick something up if you're really unsure of what the meta is going to be and play confidently with the deck that you chose. The next thing too is you need to determine whether it's a go first or go second format, or if you're okay to do either for a time being. Reason being is that right now I play going second Striker. I feel like going first Striker right now is very bad. I did it for a long time and it was great. It was like a really good time. But the majority of Sword Soul players in a tournament is unheard of. There is a lot. That deck can play through a ton of interaction for no reason. Like, it can just do it because of cards, again, like Protoss, just being able to blow up a board if it's all the same. Cards like Vashuta, cards like Boxia, Taiye banishing the sudden shift, and then all of a sudden it's for cost, and so they get a token anyway. There's a lot of different ways that they can play around an opponent's board. So this is something that I really think about too, is that in this meta, I would definitely consider going second. It just ends up being the better play. But if it turns into a meta of Phantom Knight and Prank Kid, I might just start going first, having cards in my sideboard like Silent Graveyard to completely shut off both of those decks. And this is something too that you have to think about if going first or second is correct, because only certain metas are we ever actually able to go second. Other than that, going first is usually the play. Right now, going second I feel like is 110% the play, but next meta I think that going first might end up being the play again. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. And the next thing is cards to play around being like Crossout Designator. If you remember back when Prank Kids was meta before, they have a lot of room for utility. They were playing a ton of hand traps, and the thing that made Prank Kids was so deadly was the fact that it was a 1-card combo that netted them up to like 6 cards in their hand, and then all of a sudden they just had a ton of hand traps for you, right? If they're playing the Brave engine, which they will be, because they want to make sure that the normal summon goes off, right? They're using 9 slots that usually were utility to try to get off their combo. So that's really important information and a big change to the deck than what we experienced before, because they're going to be leaning harder on this engine. They're going to have less room for hand traps, less room for things like Crossout. But let's say they're still playing Crossout, they still find a room, they're still doing what they need to do to make sure that they're successful, which isn't unheard of. I think Prank Kid would probably play Crossout. You need to find cards that are good for the meta and that really allow you to play around cards like Crossout. This is fairly important because when you have a card like Crossout, you need to make sure that you're not just going to lose because you didn't expect it to happen, right? So cards like Ash, you can see as pretty mediocre, but the next best hand trap to me is going to be Meister. I think Meister is fantastic. It does the same thing as Ash against Prank Kid. It's still being able to shut off the summon from the deck. It shuts off the entire Phantom Knight deck. It shuts off Prank Kid. It's very generically good for the meta. Even Bell will see a resurgence now. So we went from the best hand trap being Bell to imperm-effects like Valor. And then we also now have Meister being the newest best hand trap. So I also think this paired with Bell next format against PK and PK, it's just a joke, right? Because like Sword Soul Strike, Sky Striker, and then PK. But this is going to be the best hand trap, I think, moving forward. So even me personally, just kind of looking ahead, I think that I'll be main decking 3 Meister going into next format myself. So that's something that you can kind of just like keep in the back of your mind and think about when we're looking into the new card interactions. Because let's say like Scythe doesn't get hit, right? For whatever reason. It probably will, but for whatever reason it doesn't get hit, right? You still have things like Meister in your main deck that you can use if they use DPE pop Scythe. Then you can go ahead and Meister the Scythe. Or if they chain block it with DPE, then you can go ahead and stop the DPE. And if you have things like Chalice in your deck, you can go ahead and Chalice the Scythe. So these are things just to think about. But I do think that Meister is going to be absolutely fantastic next format. So this is going to be just a quick intermission in the video where I want to just tell you, though, to join the community in the Discord. There's a ton of people in there. We're almost at 1,000 members. I do appreciate each and every one of you. A lot of people are in there to get help if they need deck building, if they need to play test. There's plenty of people that are in there. It's a very friendly community, one that I built from the ground up, and I really do appreciate everyone that's in there because it's just such a lovely testing circle to be in, and a lot of theory and a lot of ideas are always tossed around. The other thing, too, is I am on Twitch. I'm almost at 2,000 followers on Twitch. Definitely go over there and follow the channel if you're not already. On Twitter, I'm also on there. I post a lot about when I'm live and whatnot. The other thing too is my Metafy page. If you do need any kind of session, definitely feel free to go over there and check it out. Lots of new information that is coming out in the format, and if you do need help with that, feel free to let me know. Plenty of sessions on there, but if you need a personalized session, also let me know that too. All the links for that in the description below, but without further ado, is go ahead and open up that secret shiny box and let's see what was in it. So we're gonna be going over and opening up our secret shiny box. We just got this. It's completely random. I don't know which one I've received. This is the striker symbol. I don't know which one is which for these two. I know one's Witchcrafter, one's my Akashki. Let's go ahead and open this. Give me 1 second. And let's see exactly what we can pull. This is pretty exciting. I've never opened up anything from Japan, nor do I typically open up things on the channel. So this is pretty cool. This is different. I'll let it focus up again. All right, let's see what we got in here. Dude, this is so cool. The box itself looks phenomenal. I really wish that we could get stuff like this in the TCG. All right, so that's not Striker, which is unfortunate, but that does look really cool. Let's see what we can get in here. I know it comes with some other stuff too, so let's see. Man, that box looks really cool. What is this? I think this is my Akashki. Yeah, this is my Akashki. So we have here. The thing that gave it away from me is not that. It'd be this one right here. It's definitely my Akashki. The box looks phenomenal though, so let's go ahead and let's see what's in this. They really went all out for this. Wow, that looks really cool. Look at that, just like right off the bat. Like they have so many nice rarities over there for these. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. Pretty sure the bottom of this is just kind of like extra things. Yeah, this is like all the product. We're not gonna open up that just yet. Let's go ahead and get these unraveled. Oh, it's just in a little pocket. Okay. So we have the very, very shiny card here. Sorry, my camera's trying to focus on this. So this is pretty cool. This is the new My Akashki support they just got. It's actually not like bad for the archetype. Wow, we actually have 5 packs here. That's pretty nice. That is a nice little spot for this this box. Let me open this up and let's see what we got here. It looks like we got some sleeves. Wow, these look really nice, actually. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but these look pretty nice, actually. I really like these a lot. They're just like really reflective too, of the purple, which is really cool. So we'll go ahead and set these here. Looks like we have a couple of the figurines for the My Akashki as well. We can go ahead and open these up. You know, I was like really hoping to get Striker, but I'm actually just like not upset about it, honestly. Like these are all really, really cool, and I don't really do openings that often, so this is neat. We got like a little symbol here for the My Akashki as well, which is really nice. We have the like the figurine of the Link monster as well, so that's always really cool too. We'll go ahead and set these off to the side and put this out of the way. And it looks like we do have some clear sleeves as well, maybe for double sleeving, which is pretty cool. I do appreciate that. That is something that I'll probably end up using both of these, honestly. I think that they look really nice. But as we all want to know, what do we have in the packs? We also have another card behind this as well. So we'll go ahead and open those up too. I'm just going to go ahead here and move some stuff out of the way. We'll start off with the promo pack, really. Go ahead here and open this up. Wow, these are pretty tight. There we go. All right. So we have the My Akashki, and then we also have the Trap. This is the broken one, I believe. The one that just says your opponent can't play the game, which you know is really, really cool. I like this a lot, being able to just kind of see these in their prismatics that they get. The rarities over there are just so cool, so I'm really thankful that I was able to get one of these. Let's go ahead and open up one of our first packs here. These are really kind of hard to open, I'm not going to lie. They have like a different packing, it feels like. Alright, so we're going to go ahead here and open up this first one. It looks like we're going to get the Shatterfoil. Wow, look at that. Shatterfoil Hayate. Alright, I'm game for that. That's really cool. Just as like a common, I mean, that looks really cool. So we'll go ahead and open up these like this. So we have the Hayate. Secret Village. Okay, that's pretty cool too. I like that. We have Mizuki. It goes well with my Akashikis here. I'm not too sure what this is. I think, is it the new Witchcrafter fusion? I think so. It has to be because these cards are all based around that. So I would imagine this is a new Witchcrafter. And then it looks like we have a Mayakashiki. These cards look amazing, actually. That's actually really, really nice. The Hayate there is really cool. I did not know that came in this, so that's really nice. Gonna go ahead here and keep opening these to the side here. They're actually like a really hard material to open. I'm surprised. All right, let's go ahead here. Get this one open. Looks like we opened the Witchcrafter. I think this is Creation. I could be wrong. That's really cool, though. We have the Banshee. We have the Anima. Anima looks really cool here. Another Witchcrafter spell, and we have another Mayakashiki. So it looks like we have 2 of the prismatic secrets for the Mayakashiki so far. Go ahead and move these off to the side. Hopefully we can pull a linkage and a Hamp. If we didn't get the striker box, you know, we might as well be able to get some of the other cards, but we will see. We have a couple packs left here, so we're going to go ahead and see what we can pull. This is extremely hard to open. Surprised. I actually don't know what this is. I would have to do some research into what this is, but I actually don't know. Nightmare Phoenix, that's a nice reprint here just to kind of see it in a different light. Got another spell here, again, one I don't really know. This is Witchcrafter Hani, and we got another Mayakashiki secret. I wonder if in the Mayakashiki box you just get all the Mayakashiki secrets, or if it's just kind of random. So we will see here. That'd be kind of wild, though, because you would think that the packs are a bit more randomized, but we'll see if the trend keeps up. Looks like we're going to get a Shizuku here, which is really nice as well. We're going to get the Witchcrafter. I think this one is Schmidt. The Relinquished, which is really cool here. We got a Hamp. We did pull a Hamp. That's sick. And it looks like, yeah, so we're just going to keep getting the secrets for the Mayakashiki. This is really nice, though. At least we pulled one. I would like to see a linkage here. But I think that one's going to end up being like the secret, too. So I don't think that we will see one here. But we did get a Hamp, which is always really nice. Just to own one, you know. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. That makes me feel a lot better. All right, last pack, we got a Shizuku, a Hate, and a Hamp. Let's see what else we can get here. An Afterburner, okay. So we are getting some striker love here. That's really nice. We got another the Witchcrafter cards. We have the Solitaire. We did pull a linkage. There we go. We got both of them. Awesome. And then we had the last Mayakashiki secret here. So these are immediately getting sleeved up because we were able to pull both of them. That's amazing. Last pack luck, guys. Last pack luck. There we go. All right. So we ended up getting the 2 that we wanted. We got some amazing sleeves here, honestly. And then even the box, honestly, I'm going to keep these boxes for a long time. Like these, like they came out amazing. This is really, really cool. So I'm going to keep those. But this is literally like the #1 thing I was after. That's amazing. I'm really excited about that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I don't usually do pack openings on the channel. I would not be against opening up more boxes at some point, just as like an addition to the videos, not like the main focus of the video. But seeing things like this, especially from OCG product, is so cool. Having a linkage and a Hamp now, it feels really cool. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the opening. It was a lot of fun for me. Just seeing the really cool box art and then also being able to see the cards in person. Pulling a Hamp and a linkage was super cool. And I'm excited just to use them as just, you know, like regular proxies just for testing in person, which is really neat too. So again, we are 96 subs away from hitting our 8K goal. I really do hope that you all enjoyed the video today. This was a little bit different with the opening, so I thought it was a lot of fun to put in there, and I really can't wait to see where this channel goes. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much.